Welcome to another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse, Really Weird Cinema. And yes, we're going to talk about Goodbye Uncle Tom or Farewell Uncle Tom or whatever it was released under today because people have been asking, and it's like, all right, there's a lot of different opinions on this film, and I just watched a current interview with Bill Lustig and two black gentlemen with a podcast, and Bill is releasing a 4K version of Goodbye Uncle Tom. And it's a whole different world now before it was back in 71, 72 when this thing came into here. But the thing is, if you had released this film back in 71, 72, and with the attitude then and all the revolutionary shit going on back then, if you had done this in any of the grindhouses on 42nd Street in the inner cities, I would say that basically you'd be lucky to have that theater not burned to the ground. And the reason I say that was because I had not seen this film. I had picked it up on the DVD set that Blue Underground had put out, Bill Lustig had put out with Mondo Connie 1, Mondo Connie 2, Women of the World, Africa Adito, and this. And honestly, it's hard to offend me, but this film did offend me. It is racist, it is sexist, it is exploitive in that nature. What happened was that Prosperi and Jacopetti, though two men who made Mondo Connie, Africa Adito, and Women of the World, decided to go back in time to the colonial slave trade. And they were going to do this in Brazil. But when the Brazilian authorities found out that the makers of Africa Adito were headed their way, no, they turned the ship around. And they went to Haiti, where they found a kindred spirit in Papa Doc Duvalier, who basically let them abuse the whole population of the island. And I do mean abuse. And some of the stuff that was said during the film was completely inflammatory. I mean, they're bringing slaves over from Africa in the holds of boat with corks shoved up their asses so they couldn't shit all over the boat. How long is the sea journey from here to Africa? Pretty long, I guess. So there's that. Then there's basically scenes that were shot in Haiti of slave auctions, two twins painted gold that were being auctioned off, a basic trough of food that looks like a pig trough where young black toddlers are just shoved in there eating, and they keep saying stuff that's on and on and on. Racist. Like I said, it takes a lot to offend me, and this film made it happen. And the other thing, too, is this film was either imported or was going to be distributed by Cannon Films, but I can't find a listing anywhere of where this played, nor can I find anybody who had actually seen it in the theater. I'm thinking maybe it had a little run in an art house somewhere, but I don't remember who the guy was that tried to get a hold of Cannon and basically try to rent a print from it. And they claim they never heard anything about it or never knew anything about it. So, like I said, that was going back in the 70s. Now we fast forward up to 2025. Bill Lustig had already released this in a Mondo box set, and now he's releasing it on 4K. And these two black gentlemen were doing the discussion with him and said they weren't offended by it, but they felt that every black person in America could see this thing because this isn't Roots, this is the way it really is. Or really was, rather, if you want to look at it that way. Honestly, maybe every white person in America should see this film because Bill Lustig said they tried to do a little revival tour of the film, and every theater they tried to book it in refused to book it because they were afraid of the theaters being trashed by an angry audience. The film is inflammatory, there's no doubt about it, and it's not fucking Roots, not at all. I don't know what the whole deal was, looking at this thing, and it's, very cringeworthy, and maybe every white person in America should be forced to watch this because this is inhumane treatment of other human beings. No person should be able to own another person. It's that fucking simple. I don't care what the Bible says. I don't care what these fucking neo-Nazi white fucking nationalists say. No person has the right to enslave another person. It's that fucking simple. But, you know, that can go in and out of everybody's ears. Is this an important film? I would think so in a certain historical context. Was it brought in for simply exploitive purposes? Sure it was, but I think when they realized what they had, and again, you're going back to the 70s, this was inflammatory. And this probably would have caused fucking patrons to riot. So, you know, it's like everything else. You got to take it with a grain of salt. You can look at it one way, you can look at it another way. Obviously, these two black gentlemen looked at it a certain way, that this was the way it was, and people should realize this is the way it was. And yeah, I would agree with that thing. But whether this thing was brought in, you know, as an exploitation film, I would say yeah. It just didn't work out, and they were afraid to do anything with it. So, like I said, it's available from Blue Underground on 4K. I think it's a limited edition. So, you know, that's that. I had to get my brakes done yesterday because they were basically metal on metal, and a brake job I was quoted was 400 and change without tax. When I went to the shop, I looked up and I saw within a week's time that the price had increased to $280 an axle, which I said to the guy, "Are you going to honor my quote?" And he said, "Yeah." And the fucked up part is, I was certified by the state of New Jersey back in the 70s to repair brakes, and I was a good brakeman. I could knock out a Cadillac, a complete brake job in a Cadillac in an hour. And last night I was sitting there thinking how easy it is to do front brakes with, you know, a rotor, caliper, and pads. It's really easy, but $500, well, what are you going to do? And I can't do it in my driveway. So, and other things, both dogs seem to be doing okay. Boots is sitting over there now giving me the dirty look that she wants to do something, God knows what. The other one's outside sunning herself on her chaise lounge. It's Good Friday for those of you who, you know, are of the Catholic faith. It's a big deal this whole weekend, you know, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, Easter Sunday. So I wish all my fans of that persuasion a happy Easter, and Jewish fans a happy Passover if that's going on. And above all, this weekend, be forewarned, because there's a lot of rumors circulating around that something bad's going to happen this weekend. And on Easter Sunday, Donald Trump might declare martial law. Honestly, what's going on sickens me. The whole thing is completely out of hand and should be stopped, but who the fuck am I? Nobody seems to be taking a stand. One congressman did go down to El Salvador to try to free that guy who was, you know, wrongfully imprisoned, and is completely getting the runaround. In other words, fuck you, we'll do whatever we want, and that's the wrong attitude to have. But until somebody steps up to the fucking plate, we're fucked. So again, I wish everybody a great weekend, a happy holiday. Thanks for subscribing, thanks for tuning in. Above all, stay safe, and hopefully I'll see you on the flip side next week.